a gynecologist's urgent message on menopause and your cardiovascular health. Each and every year, countless thousands of women over the age of 60 are confronted with a truth they were never prepared for. The most significant health threat they will face is not, as many believe, breast cancer or the onset of osteoporosis. It is, in fact, heart disease. And yet, so many of us traverse the entire menopausal transition without ever comprehending that the very physiological changes occurring deep within our bodies are quietly and profoundly reshaping the heart that sustains our very lives. Allow me to pose a question. Have you ever found yourself feeling winded while climbing a flight of stairs that you once ascended with complete ease? Or perhaps you have experienced moments of inexplicable exhaustion, a heavy sensation of pressure in your chest, or a peculiar nagging ache in your back or jaw. It is possible you dismissed it, telling yourself, "This is just age catching up with me." I hear that sentiment expressed all the time. But what if I were to suggest that those subtle whispers from your body might actually be your heart's way of asking for your help? I will never forget one of my cherished patients, Margaret, who was 68 years old when she first came to my office. She was under the impression that her primary health concern was bone density loss. However, when we conducted some routine diagnostic tests, the results unmistakably revealed the early signs of cardiovascular disease. She sat in a stunned silence for a long moment and finally articulated, "No one in my entire life ever told me that menopause could have an impact on my heart." That is the part of the story that continues to break my heart as a physician. It was not just her diagnosis that was so devastating, but the stark reality that she had never been forewarned. I am Dr. Lily Stones, a gynecologist with over 30 years of clinical experience, dedicated to helping women navigate the intricate changes that accompany menopause and the aging process. Throughout the decades, I have had the privilege of listening to thousands of women share their personal stories, their deepest worries, and their most cherished hopes. And I want to share something of vital importance with you right now. Your heart is not irrevocably doomed by the passage of time. You possess far more power over your health than you may think. In the next few minutes, I will illuminate how menopause and cardiovascular health are inextricably linked. We will explore the 3 silent missteps that most women make without even realizing it, and I will provide you with practical, science-backed solutions that can not only protect your heart, but can actually help it grow stronger with time. And I give you my word, what you are about to learn today is not complicated. It is clear, it is actionable, and it has the potential to transform your health in ways you have never imagined. But before we delve into that, may I ask you for one small favor? If you believe this message is important, please take a moment to click the like button, subscribe to this channel, and tap the notification bell so you will not miss what is coming next. And please, share this video with a friend or a sister, because these are truths that every woman deserves to know. Now let's discuss the very first mistake that places so many women at an elevated risk. And it all begins with a belief that has been quietly misleading us for generations. Most women enter and move through menopause fully expecting hot flashes, shifts in their mood, or perhaps the accumulation of a few extra pounds. What almost no one ever tells you is how these profound hormonal shifts quietly and fundamentally alter the way your heart and your blood vessels function. And that pervasive silence leads directly to mistakes that I see repeated over and over again in my practice, often with devastating consequences. The first mistake is the enduring belief that heart disease is predominantly a man's problem. For decades, the cultural image we have all been shown is that of a man clutching his chest in a moment of sudden, excruciating pain. That image is so deeply ingrained in our collective consciousness that women have a tendency to dismiss their own inherent risks. But here is the unvarnished truth. After menopause, a woman's risk of developing heart disease rises dramatically. And as of today, it stands as the #1 cause of death for women in the United States. The loss of estrogen plays an immense role in this shift. Estrogen functions like a protective shield for the cardiovascular system, helping to keep blood vessels flexible and maintaining a healthy balance of cholesterol. When that protective shield falls away during menopause, arteries can begin to stiffen, bad cholesterol levels can creep upward, and a low-grade inflammation can start to inflict damage upon the delicate lining of our blood vessels. I vividly remember Linda, a woman in her early 70s, who confided in me, "Dr. Stones, I always thought chest pain was only serious if it felt like a crushing weight, just like you see in the movies. Mine was just a persistent heaviness in my back. She very nearly ignored it, but what we ultimately discovered was that she was, in fact, experiencing a small heart attack. It did not resemble the dramatic scenes you see on television, but it was every bit as real and every bit as dangerous. The second mistake is the tendency to brush aside subtle, seemingly minor symptoms. Unlike in men, the warning signs of heart issues in women are often quiet and insidious. Instead of sudden dramatic chest pain, you might experience unusual fatigue that doesn't resolve with rest, a pronounced shortness of breath while performing simple tasks like carrying groceries, episodes of nausea or dizziness, or even a persistent pain in your jaw or shoulder. Far too often, women write these symptoms off as merely signs of aging, stress, or being out of shape. But ignoring them is akin to seeing the check engine light illuminate on your car's dashboard and simply turning up the volume on the radio so you do not have to acknowledge it. Elena, one of my patients, was a retired librarian with a passion for gardening. She began to notice that she was becoming winded after just a few minutes of pulling weeds and thought to herself, "I must just be slowing down." She was mistaken. Her shortness of breath was her heart whispering for help. That is why I always implore women, listen closely when your body speaks to you. If something feels new, persistent, or in any way unusual, it is worthy of your attention. And the third mistake is clinging to old, familiar habits that no longer serve your changing body. What worked to keep you healthy in your 40s or 50s does not necessarily offer the same protection in your 60s. I have seen women continue to drink the same type of milk they grew up with, believing it was always beneficial for their bones, without realizing that some varieties can significantly raise cholesterol. Others assume that a little bit of belly fat is a harmless part of aging, when in reality, visceral fat is strongly linked to a higher risk of heart disease after menopause. And many women give up on regular exercise because they never felt they needed it before, failing to recognize that at this stage of life, movement is as essential for your arteries as oxygen is for your lungs. I like to encourage my patients to picture their heart as a garden. In your younger years, estrogen acted like a steady, gentle rainfall, keeping the soil moist and nutrient-rich. After menopause, that rain becomes less frequent, and the composition of the soil changes. If you continue to garden in the same old way, the plants will inevitably struggle. But if you adapt, if you water differently, nourish the soil with new amendments, and tend to your garden with careful attention, it can still bloom with breathtaking beauty. And this is where I want to pause, because the next part of our conversation is the hopeful one. The solutions I am about to share are simple, they are effective, and they work, no matter where you are starting from. And I want you to imagine this: what if one small, daily choice, something as ordinary as the beverage you pour for yourself each morning, could begin to heal your heart from the inside out? That is precisely what we will explore next. Now that we have discussed the silent mistakes that so many women unknowingly make, let's turn to the part of this conversation that gives me the most profound hope: the solutions. What I absolutely love about promoting heart health after menopause is that it does not always necessitate big, complicated, or overwhelming changes. In fact, the most powerful and impactful steps are often simple, eminently practical, and completely within your control. The very first step is cultivating awareness. Begin by truly and deeply listening to your body. If you notice a fatigue that lingers for days, a breathlessness that occurs when you do something simple, or a discomfort that feels new or unusual, please do not dismiss it. Write it down. Pay attention to the circumstances under which it happens, and be sure to share this information with your doctor. Think of it as catching a small, fraying thread on a piece of fabric early. If you notice it in time, you can mend it before the entire seam unravels. The second step is to fundamentally rethink what you put into your glass each day. Many women still habitually reach for sodas, fruit juices that are packed with hidden sugars, or multiple cups of coffee, without fully realizing the significant burden that these choices place upon the heart. Even a change as small as swapping one sugary drink per day for a glass of water or a cup of herbal tea can make a tangible difference. One of my favorite recommendations for my patients is hibiscus tea, which studies from the National Institutes of Health have demonstrated can help lower blood pressure in a matter of just a few weeks. Imagine that something as simple as altering your choice of beverage can be like giving your arteries a deep, restorative breath of relief. And I promised you earlier a little secret. There is one often overlooked daily drink that can do wonders for your circulation and the flexibility of your blood vessels. I will reveal that to you shortly. But first, let's talk about the habits that build foundational strength over time. Movement after menopause is not optional, it is medicine. This does not mean you have to enroll in a gym or start training for a marathon. It can be as simple and enjoyable as taking a brisk walk after dinner, stretching gently in the morning to greet the day, or even dancing to music that you love in the comfort of your own living room. Your arteries are like a network of pipelines. When you move, you keep the contents flowing freely. When you remain sedentary for too long, the flow can stagnate, and blockages are more likely to form. I remember a wonderful woman named Carol, who began her journey with just 10 minutes of walking around her block each day. At first she was out of breath and felt discouraged, but she persevered, adding just a few more minutes at a time. Within 3 months she was comfortably walking for half an hour with ease. Her blood pressure dropped, her energy returned, and she told me, a brilliant smile on her face, "I feel like I got my life back." Sometimes the most potent medicine isn't found in a pill bottle, it's found in your walking shoes. Food plays its vital part too. You do not need to adopt a complicated or restrictive diet to protect your heart. It is all about making small, steady, and sustainable changes, adding more fiber to your diet from sources like oats, beans, and a wide variety of vegetables, choosing healthy fats from olive oil, avocados, and nuts, and consciously cutting back on fried foods and processed meats. Each one of these swaps is like gently pulling a single weed from the garden of your health. The more weeds you remove, the more your heart can truly thrive. And then there are the long-term foundations, the quiet, consistent choices that add up to years of protection. Attending regular checkups, keeping track of your blood pressure and cholesterol numbers, and staying consistent with both movement and nutrition. But there is also something that many women forget: staying socially connected. Loneliness has been scientifically shown to raise the risk of heart disease almost as much as smoking. This means that sharing a walk with a friend, joining a book club, or simply calling someone you love can be as healing to your heart as the healthiest meal imaginable. Here is the message I truly want you to hold on to. Even after menopause, your body is not giving up on you. Your heart still wants to heal. If you provide it with the right tools, movement, nourishing food, proper hydration, and meaningful connection, it responds. It truly, genuinely does. And now, it is time for that special drink I mentioned earlier, the one that many women overlook, yet which can quietly strengthen your heart day by day. In the next section, I will share exactly what it is, along with the powerful stories of women who have used it to transform not just their cardiovascular health, but their entire outlook on life. Earlier, I promised to reveal a beverage that many women overlook, yet one that has been shown to quietly and effectively support heart health. That drink is green tea. Extensive research from esteemed institutions like the Cleveland Clinic and the National Institutes of Health, NIH, shows that the natural compounds present in green tea, particularly potent antioxidants called catechins, help blood vessels to relax, which in turn improves circulation and reduces systemic inflammation. It is not a magic cure, but it represents one of those simple, everyday choices that compound their benefits over time. Replacing even one soda or an extra cup of coffee with a cup of green tea is like giving your arteries a gentle, restorative gift each and every day. I often think of Margaret, a woman who came to my practice at the age of 69. She was quite doubtful when I first suggested she incorporate green tea into her routine. She looked at me with a polite smile and said, "Dr. Stones, are you really telling me that something as ordinary as a cup of tea could actually change the health of my heart?" But she was willing to try. A few months later, her blood pressure readings had shown a marked improvement. She felt more energy during her daily walks, and when she returned for her checkup, her cholesterol numbers had favorably shifted in the right direction. What touched me most deeply was when she said, "For the first time in a long time, I feel like I am helping my body instead of constantly fighting against it." Another woman, Joan, struggled in a different, more profound way. She had recently lost her husband and found herself feeling deeply lonely, perpetually tired, and disconnected from the world. Her heart health was suffering as a result, and she felt much older than her chronological years. I suggested that she join a local walking group, and I encouraged her to bring a thermos of warm green tea to share with her new companions. That simple act provided her with both a healthier daily habit and a meaningful reason to connect with others. Months later, she told me, "I don't just feel healthier, Dr. Stones. I feel alive again." Sometimes what the heart needs is more than just nutrients. It needs companionship, laughter, and compassionate care. I often explain it to my patients this way. Your body is like a garden. In your younger years, the hormone estrogen acted like a steady, nurturing rainfall, keeping the soil rich and ensuring your plants were thriving. After menopause, that natural rainfall slows, the composition of the soil changes, and weeds can start to creep in more easily. If you simply leave the garden to its own devices, it will weaken. But if you begin to tend to it with new tools, watering it carefully, planting fresh seeds, and diligently pulling the weeds, the garden can flourish once again. Your heart is no different. Even without the natural protection that estrogen once provided, it can still thrive when given the right kind of attention. The most hopeful truth is this: it is never too late to begin nurturing your heart. Even the smallest of steps, a daily cup of green tea, a leisurely walk after dinner, a meal rich in colorful vegetables, a heartfelt conversation with a friend, are like precious seeds that you plant in the garden of your well-being. With time and consistency, those seeds grow into resilience, strength, and the kind of vibrant energy that allows you to continue enjoying the life and the people you love. As we move into the final part of our conversation, I want to bring everything together so that you have a clear and empowered path forward, because your heart deserves not only protection, but also the chance to thrive for many, many years to come. So let's take a moment to bring everything together. We began our conversation with a truth that many women never hear: that after menopause, your greatest health risk is not cancer or brittle bones, but rather heart disease. We uncovered how the natural decline of estrogen quietly removes a protective shield that once safeguarded your arteries, leaving them stiffer and more vulnerable. We talked about the common mistakes that women so often make, such as believing that heart disease is exclusively a man's problem, brushing aside subtle yet significant symptoms, or clinging to habits from their earlier years that no longer serve their changing bodies. Then we explored the most hopeful part: the solutions that are simple, practical, and remarkably effective. These include listening intently to your body, swapping out sugary drinks for water or beneficial herbal teas, integrating joyful movement into your daily life, making gentle but consistent changes to your food choices, and remembering that social connection is powerful medicine for the heart. We talked about how something as ordinary as a daily cup of green tea can improve your circulation and help lower inflammation. And I shared with you the inspiring stories of Margaret and Joan, two women who discovered that even the smallest of shifts could restore their energy, their strength, and their joy. If there is one single message that I want you to carry with you from our time together, it is this: your heart is not finished growing stronger. Regardless of your age, it can still respond beautifully to the compassionate care you give it. Think of it as that garden we discussed. The soil may have changed after menopause, but with new tools, fresh seeds, and steady loving attention, it can still bloom magnificently, and you absolutely deserve that flourishing. Now I would like to invite you to take one step beyond simply listening. If this conversation has been helpful to you, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you do not miss the videos yet to come. And if you know a friend, a sister, or a loved one who needs this encouragement, please share this video with her. It might just be the message of hope she has been waiting for. I would also love to hear from you. In the comments section below, please tell me, what is one small change you are ready to make for your heart health starting today? Maybe it's replacing a sugary drink with a cup of green tea, adding a short walk to your daily routine, or calling a friend to stay connected. Your answer might be the very thing that inspires someone else who is watching. Your heart has faithfully carried you through every single stage of your life. Now it is time to give it the care and attention it so richly deserves, so that it can carry you through many more years filled with vitality, love, and joy. I'm Dr. Lily Stones, and I want to thank you for spending this valuable time with me. Until next time, please take good care of yourself, and remember, it is never too late to strengthen your heart.